The Brave Young Wizard and the Sinister Shapeshifter. In a small village nestled in a valley between rolling green hills, there lived a young wizard named Zara. Though only 12 years old, Zara had already shown great skill with magic, able to cast spells far beyond her years. One crisp autumn evening, the villagers were settling in for the night when a ghastly groan echoed through the streets. Windows rattled and doors shook on their hinges as a thick fog rolled in, blotting out the light of the full moon. From out of the fog slithered a terrifying figure, a towering hooded wraith with eyes burning like hot coals. It let out another haunting moan that chilled the villagers to the bone. "I am the sinister shapeshifter Kralik," the specter bellowed in a raspy voice. "This village is now under my dark spell. Those who defy me will face a grim fate." The wicked wraith threw back his robe, revealing a gnarled face with piercing red eyes and jagged fangs. With a wave of his twisted claws, Kralik transformed into a horrifying sight. A great black dragon, scales glistening like oil, smoke billowing from its nostrils. The dragon reared back and unleashed a torrent of fire, raising a thatched roof cottage to cinders. Panic screams filled the village as people fled in terror. Mothers clutched their children tightly, trying to shield them from the terror unfolding before their eyes. Even the bravest villagers turned pale with fright, all except for young Zara. Though her legs shook with fear, she mustered her courage and boldly stepped forward, wand in hand. "Release this village from your wicked spell at once, Kralik," Zara shouted at the dragon. The dragon swung its massive head toward the defiant young wizard and let out a rumbling growl that shook the very ground. It reared back, jaws unhinged and dripping with flames, ready to turn Zara into a pile of ashes. But Zara was quicker. Waving her wand in a dizzying blur, she chanted a spell of blinding light. A brilliant flash burst forth, momentarily stunning the dragon and causing it to recoil with a thunderous roar. When Kralik recovered, he found himself no longer in his fearsome dragon form, but reverted back into his ghastly wraith shape. "Clever girl," the specter hissed through gritted fangs. "But you'll pay dearly for that." With a sweep of his cloak, Kralik vanished into the swirling fog like a wisp of smoke. Zara tried to track his movements, wand at the ready, but could no longer sense his dark presence. Suddenly, a creepy cackle rang out from somewhere in the mist behind her. Zara spun around to see a horrific new form emerging, a nightmarish creature with a twisted, knot-covered body and jagged mandibles snapping wildly. "Behold the terror gaunt." Kralik's raspy voice came from the beast's slavering jaws. "Let's see you best this terror." Zara stumbled back as the terror gaunt skittered towards her with startling speed, clacking its pincers menacingly. She quickly cast a freezing spell, encasing the creature's legs in thick ice. It toppled forward with a gurgling shriek. But even trapped on the ground, the terror was far from subdued. Spindly arms unfolded from beneath its carapace and stretched towards Zara, filthy claws grasping and groping. Just as the bony fingers brushed against her robe, Zara shouted, "Incendio!" and a jet of searing flames erupted from her wand tip. The terror gaunt howled in agony as its warped body was consumed in the scorching blaze. Within moments, the creature had burnt to a crumbling husk. Once more the eerie fog swirled and parted as Kralik's wraith form reappeared. "You dare burn my precious terror gaunt," the sorcerer growled, hatred dripping like venom from his serpentine voice. "Now you will face my deadliest form." Black smoke poured from beneath Kralik's robe, rapidly swirling and amassing into a huge, ominous cyclone 10 feet high. Zara shielded her eyes as debris and loose leaves were whipped into the vortex. Suddenly the cyclone solidified into a towering, hulking beast, a minotaur-like abomination with the head of a slavering wolf and the body of a grotesquely muscled humanoid. In each clenched fist it gripped a crude blade formed of jagged bone. It fixed its feral gaze on Zara, letting out a deafening, blood-curdling roar. "This is my final, most fearsome incarnation, the Realm Render." The monster charged at Zara, each thunderous footfall shaking the ground. Zara turned to flee but realized she was boxed in by the village's outer buildings. She looked over her shoulder at the unstoppable beast rapidly closing the gap, jaws unhinged to reveal a mouth of serrated fangs. In that moment, time seemed to slow down as an idea struck Zara's mind. She spun around, taking a deep breath to steel her nerves. Wand held high, she shouted an ancient druidic inscription.
Gejara enkindalové gorlat.
At her command, roots and vines exploded from the ground beneath the Realm Render's feet. The thick woody tendrils lashed around its ankles in serpentine coils, rapidly slithering up its body and ensnaring its limbs. The beast thrashed and howled as the magical plants encased it in an ever-tightening mass of twisted roots and branches, sprouting with hooked barbs that pierced its flesh. In moments it was completely immobilized in a living wooden prison. Krolek's furious roars echoed from inside the plant mass as it was slowly compressed under the overwhelming pressure, until finally only silence remained. Exhausted, Zara collapsed to her knees. She looked up in awe as the prison tomb began to sprout delicate white blossoms, as if new life was arising from the vanquished evil. The villagers emerged from their homes, eyes wide at the incredible sight of Krolek's defeated, wooden remains. They gathered around Zara, pulling her back to her feet with cheers and hugs and tears of joy. The nightmare that had nearly engulfed them was finally over. From that day on, the blossoms on the wooden trunk became a symbol of hope and perseverance in the village. And young Zara went down as a legend, the brave wizard who saved her people by conquering the sinister shapeshifter's reign of terror. The end.